Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. My wife said I needed to reflect on what I'd done wrong while she went on her girls' trip. I nodded and told her to have a good time. She was absolutely right. I didn't need to reflect. I just didn't reflect on the things she thought I should. Turns out my biggest failure wasn't forgetting to schedule her car maintenance or not being enthusiastic enough about her friend's pyramid scheme presentation. My biggest failure was staying with someone who runs away every time life requires her to show up. Let me explain how I got here. How I spent 6 years married to someone who was barely present for any of it. Every relationship has its patterns. Ours was simple. Whenever something difficult happened, Amelia disappeared. 3 weeks before her Miami trip, our furnace died. I came home to a 54-degree house and spent 2 hours finding an HVAC company. When Amelia got home, she saw me on hold with the utility company and said, "This is too stressful. I'm staying at Whitney's tonight." She packed and left. Came back 2 days later after I'd handled everything. The space heaters, the repair, the $3,400 bill. "I can't function when there's chaos," she explained. "You know that about me." The financial situation was the same. She handled fun spending, trips, clothes, subscriptions. I handled everything else. We had a joint account, but she'd transfer 60% of her paycheck to personal savings immediately. Mine covered our actual life. Every budget discussion ended with "money talk gives me anxiety." 2 months ago, I suggested we plan together. She went silent for 2 days, then booked an $800 spa weekend. We were $8,000 in debt, but the hospital was when I should have known. 5 months ago, my father had a heart attack. I called Amelia from the highway to Madison. "Dad's in ICU. Can you meet me there?" Long pause. I can't handle hospitals. They trigger my anxiety. I spent 3 days driving back and forth alone, 90 minutes each way. Amelia sent supportive texts, but never came once. My mother noticed. "Where's Amelia?" I lied and said she was home. Truth was she was having wine nights with friends, decompressing from the stress of the family emergency. My emergency, she wasn't present for. Every disagreement followed the same script. If I expressed frustration about anything, she went completely silent, disappeared into the bedroom. Hours, sometimes days. She'd emerge acting like nothing happened. If I brought it up, I needed time to process. "You were being intense." 6 weeks ago, I asked if we could skip her friend's destination bachelorette party. $2,000 for Nashville. We were behind on credit cards. She didn't respond. For days of silence. On day 5, she announced she'd booked it anyway with her money, the money from our joint account she'd transferred to her personal account. Then there were the things she'd commit to and back out of last minute. Her sister's wedding rehearsal dinner. I can't handle the family drama. My company holiday party every year. Corporate events drain me. Our friend's housewarming 2 weeks ago, 20 minutes before we were supposed to leave. I'm not feeling social. My niece's birthday party last week. Kids' parties are overwhelming. She showed up for her friends' events though. Every single one. The worst part was how she reframed it all. "You're too dependent on me for emotional support." Or, "Not everyone processes stress the way you do." Or, "I'm protecting my mental health. I thought you'd support that." She'd made me feel guilty for expecting her to be present. 2 weeks before her trip, on a Sunday evening, she announced it. I was cooking dinner. "Whitney's organizing a girls' trip to Miami," she said, not looking up from her phone. "Week after next. I'm going." "Okay," I said. "How much is it?" Her head snapped up. Why does that matter? I never get to do anything fun. She'd gone to Nashville 6 weeks earlier. Chicago before that. Door County before that. I'm just asking. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You make me justify every single thing. I didn't say you couldn't go. I asked how much. "I'll use my savings." You know what? I really need this. Things have been so tense lately. What's been tense? This. This right here. The interrogation every time I want to do something for myself. I turned back to the stove. "I hope you have a great time." The night before she left, she showed me a list on her phone. Things to handle while I'm gone. Her car's oil change she'd been putting off for 3 months. Call about our property tax bill she'd promised to handle. Research new health insurance options she'd been ignoring. Schedule the accountant appointment about taxes. "These are all things you were supposed to do," I said. "I've been swamped. And honestly, Donald, I think you need to use this time to really think about some things. What things? About how you approach our relationship. You've been really negative lately. Critical. It's affecting me. Can you give me an example? Like right now? You're being defensive instead of just listening. I asked for an example of me being critical. And there it is again. That tone. She stood up. Look, I think this week apart will be good for both of us. You can reflect on how you've been showing up in this marriage. Really think about the patterns that aren't working. What patterns? Your negativity. Your constant monitoring of what I do. The way you make me feel like I can't breathe without running it by you first. I felt exhausted suddenly. Okay, Amelia. I'm serious. When I get back, I want to see some real self-awareness from you. Some accountability. I'll definitely think about things while you're gone. She smiled, satisfied. Good. That's all I'm asking. The next morning, her ride share arrived at 6. She checked her luggage, put on her sunglasses. Remember what we talked about. Really use this time productively. I will. I promise I'll think about my mistakes. That's what I need to hear. She kissed my cheek and rolled her suitcase out. I watched her drive away, waited for sadness to hit, the loneliness, the missing her. Instead, I felt relief. Pure, simple relief. I walked back inside and closed the door. The silence hit me immediately. Not uncomfortable silence that meant I'd upset her. This was different. The absence of constantly monitoring someone else's emotional weather. My phone buzzed. Text from Amelia at the airport. Flight delayed an hour. Already stressed. This is exactly the kind of thing that wouldn't happen if I wasn't so anxious from everything at home. Her flight delay was my fault. I waited for the automatic guilt response. Nothing came. I made myself breakfast. Real eggs, bacon, toast with butter. Not the egg white scramble she preferred. I ate standing at the counter, dropped crumbs, didn't immediately clean them. Another text. Boarding now. Remember what we talked about? This week needs to be productive for both of us. I typed back. Have a great time. Enjoy the sun. She'd been gone less than 3 hours, and I was already seeing things differently. Without her constant need for me to manage everything while she checked out, I could think clearly. And what I was thinking wasn't pretty. When had I become this person? When had I started apologizing for things that weren't my fault? I thought about last month when we'd hosted some of her college friends. One of them made passive-aggressive comments all night about our house being cozy. Code for small. I'd spent the evening agreeing with every subtle dig. Later, Amelia had been furious. Not at her friend's rudeness, but at me. Sometimes I wonder if you're even trying, she'd said in bed. Everyone else is moving forward with their lives. I'd stared at the ceiling wondering what more I could possibly do. I worked 50-hour weeks. I handled every household repair. I paid the bills without complaint even when she spent money we didn't have. But somehow, I was the one not trying. Now, sitting in my quiet kitchen, I realized how insane that conversation had been. My phone buzzed. A photo. Amelia and her friends at the airport bar. Caption, first drink of freedom. Freedom. From what? From the man who helped pay for this trip? From the guy who'd never told her she couldn't go anywhere? But I knew what she meant. Freedom from having to deal with reality. From having to acknowledge that relationships require both people to show up. I found myself laughing. Here she was, celebrating being away from me. Meanwhile, for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The house felt bigger somehow. Like her presence had been taking up more space than one person should occupy. I walked through each room. Everything was exactly how she wanted it. The throw pillows I wasn't supposed to sit on. The coffee table books never opened. The candles too expensive to burn. When had my own home become a museum? Another buzz. Group photo from the plane. Caption. Taking off. Time to reset and recharge. Some people need to figure out how to do the same from home. Some people. Not even my name. I looked in the bathroom mirror. The guy looking back seemed exhausted. Soul tired. When had I started carrying my shoulders hunched forward like I was bracing for impact? When had I become someone who tiptoed through his own life? Standing there, I made a decision that had been building for months. She wanted me to think about my mistakes. Fine. But not the ones she'd spent years drilling into my head. The real ones. Mistake number 1. Believing that love meant accepting someone's inability to be present. Mistake number 2. Thinking that a woman who needed a vacation from me was someone worth staying married to. The next few days were going to be very productive. Just not in the way she expected. Monday morning, I woke at 7 instead of 5:30. No need to manage the morning energy. I made coffee, played classic rock at normal volume, sat reading the news actually relaxed. I went to work, moved through the day on autopilot, my mind elsewhere. By noon, I realized something stunning. I'd gone an entire morning without apologizing for anything. When was the last time that had happened? Text from Amelia at 2. Beach day. This is exactly what I needed. Finally feeling like myself again. Finally feeling like herself. After one day away from me. What did that make me in her life? But I was feeling like myself again too. And I'd forgotten what that felt like. Tuesday morning, I called in sick to work. First mental health day in 3 years. I drove to Brady Street Diner, a place Amelia hated because it wasn't trendy. Ordered the big breakfast with extra bacon. Sat by the window with a newspaper. I pulled out a notebook and started writing. Things I've handled alone in the past year. The list grew to fill 2 pages. The furnace. Dad's hospitalization. The car accident last winter. Our basement flooding in March. Every difficult mortgage conversation. My mother's 65th birthday party I'd planned alone. Every bill payment crisis. My best friend's father's funeral. Taking her grandmother to medical appointments because Amelia couldn't handle seeing her decline. Page after page of moments where I'd needed a partner and gotten excuses. My phone buzzed. Photo of an elaborate lunch spread. Group got matching anklets. Loving this bonding time. You should try journaling or something while I'm gone. Help process your feelings. I looked at my notebook. I was journaling. Just not about what she thought. After lunch, I drove to Veterans Park and walked the lakefront trail. Lake Michigan stretched out gray and endless. I called my brother Dennis in Minneapolis. How's it going? Amelia's in Miami with her friends. Nice. You doing okay? Actually, yeah, I am. Pause. That's the first time you've said that in years. What do you mean? Every time I ask, you say fine or hanging in there. You just said you're okay and actually sounded like you meant it. Dennis, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you like Amelia? Longer pause. Why are you asking? Just answer honestly. No, I don't. Haven't for years. Why didn't you say anything? You seem to love her. Who was I to interfere? But since you're asking. She's never there, man. Not for you. Not for mom and dad. Not for anything that matters. Why didn't I see it? Because you're a good guy who assumed his wife was his partner. Took you a while to realize she's just your dependent. I stood there looking out at the lake. My brother had known. My parents probably knew. How many others had watched me disappear? That evening, I ordered pizza and ate half straight from the box, watching action movies with the volume up. Text from Amelia. Headed to club. Don't wait up LOL. Hope you're having productive thoughts. I looked around. TV playing loud. Pizza box on the coffee table. Beer can on the side table without a coaster. My feet on the ottoman. Myself, completely relaxed. I texted back, having very productive thoughts. Enjoy your night. I'd forgotten what it felt like to exist without asking permission. Wednesday, I went back to work. A colleague asked how I was. I'm good. Really good. Amelia out of town? Yeah. He smiled. Makes sense. What does that mean? Nothing, man. Just, you seem lighter. Lighter. Everyone seemed lighter when Amelia was gone. Including me. Especially me. At lunch, I sat in my truck and made another list. Times I asked Amelia to show up. Can you come to Dad's hospital? I can't handle hospitals. Can we make a budget? 3 days of silence. Can you come to my company dinner? Corporate events drain me. Can we talk about the debt? Money talk triggers my anxiety. Every time I'd needed her, she'd had a reason why she couldn't be there. Every time she'd needed something, I was expected to figure it out. That afternoon, beach photo with a guy visible in the background. Caption, met some amazing people. The universe sends you who you need when you need them. I zoomed in, waited for jealousy. Nothing came. I didn't care if she was flirting. I didn't care if she was happy in Miami. I didn't care if she came back. The realization hit like cold water. I didn't want her to come back. That evening, I drove to my friend Raymond's house in Wauwatosa. We sat on his deck with beers. You look like you've got something on your mind. Do you think Amelia and I have a good marriage? He set his beer down. You really want me to answer that? I really do. From where I'm sitting. No. You have a good ability to manage someone who can't manage herself. Jesus. You asked. Jennifer and I care about you. We've watched you disappear over the years. You used to have opinions, preferences, plans. Now you just accommodate. Whatever Amelia wants, whatever she can't handle. When's the last time you did something because you wanted to? I couldn't answer. That's what I thought. I drove home and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. What do I want? I couldn't think of anything beyond peace. Then I realized peace and Amelia were mutually exclusive. You can't have peace with someone who creates crisis through absence. You can't have partnership with someone who only shows up for good times. You can't have a marriage with someone who's always on vacation from it. Thursday morning, I woke with absolute clarity. I knew what I needed to do, not from anger or hurt, just certainty. I called my insurance company about my own policy, called my bank about separating accounts, emailed HR about changing my beneficiary. Each action felt right. At lunch, I searched online for divorce attorneys in Milwaukee, found Peterson and Associates Family Law, made an appointment for Friday afternoon. Amelia texted a spa photo, getting a couple's massage with Whitney. The masseuse said I hold all my tension in my shoulders from stress at home. Exactly what I've been trying to tell you. A massage therapist had diagnosed our marriage. I almost laughed, texted back, glad you're getting what you need. That evening, I went through shared documents, mortgage papers, car titles, credit card statements, bank records, made copies, organized them in a folder. This wasn't revenge. This was preparation. Later, text from Amelia. Last night in Miami. Can't believe it's almost over. Back to reality tomorrow. The sad emoji. Returning to our marriage was the reality she was sad about. I texted, safe travels tomorrow. We'll talk when you get back. Yes, I have so much to share. And I really hope you've done the work I asked you to do. The work. Like homework she'd assigned. I've done a lot of reflecting. I think you'll be surprised. That's all I wanted. Friday afternoon, I sat across from Richard Peterson in his downtown office. Late 50s, looked like he'd seen everything. What brings you in, Donald? I need to file for divorce. Tell me about your situation. I explained. 6 years married, no kids. Joint assets included the house, 2 cars, bank accounts, $8,000 in credit card debt. Any abuse, infidelity, major incidents? No, nothing dramatic. She just doesn't show up. For anything difficult. For anything real. Explain. I told him about the furnace, the hospital, the financial irresponsibility, the constant, I can't handle this response. He took notes. Classic avoidant attachment combined with financial irresponsibility and emotional abdication. How long? The whole marriage. But I only saw it clearly this week. What changed? She went on vacation and told me to reflect on what I was doing wrong. So I did. Turned out what I was doing wrong was staying. He smiled slightly. You'd be surprised how often that happens. Someone takes a break to work on themselves and comes back to find their partner worked on themselves by leaving. Wisconsin is a no-fault state. That means you don't need to prove wrongdoing. Typical timeline is 120 days minimum after filing. Assets split 50-50 unless negotiated. Same with debt. He explained the process, costs, what I'd need. Filing fee of $184.50. His retainer of $3,500 for uncontested. More if she fought. Think she'll contest? I don't know. She might if it damages her self-image. Be prepared. Can you handle her reaction? I've handled everything else for 6 years. I can handle this. Any chance of reconciliation? None whatsoever. Bring me these documents Monday. We can file Tuesday. I left and drove to Lakefront Brewery, sat at the bar, ordered a beer. Called Dennis. Met with a divorce attorney today. You serious? Completely. How do you feel? Relieved. Then you're doing the right thing. Saturday, Amelia's last day in Miami, I spent preparing. Opened a new checking account at a different bank. Transferred exactly half our savings, $62.40 out of $12,480. Left joint checking alone like the attorney advised. I went through the house, mentally cataloging what was mine, what was hers. Most of my stuff predated the marriage. Most of our purchases were things she wanted. I didn't care about any of it. She could have the furniture, the decor. I just wanted out. Text from Amelia in the afternoon. At the airport. Can't wait to tell you everything. Flight's tomorrow morning at 8:15. Can you pick me up when I land? I'll meet you at home. Take an Uber. Why can't you pick me up? That's kind of cold. I have things to finish here. See you when you get home. Fine. Whatever. That night, I called my mother. Dennis had told her. Are you okay? I am, Mom. I'm not going to pretend I'm sad about this. She hasn't been good to you. Why didn't you say anything? Because you had to see it yourself? And I can tell from your voice you finally do. Sunday afternoon arrived. Text. Landed. Getting Uber now. Be home in 45. I sat in the living room with the folder on the coffee table. Calm. Centered. Certain. Sound of the Uber door. Her suitcase wheels. Key in the lock. Door opening. I'm home. Cheerful, energized, tanned. She dropped her suitcase in the entryway and came into the living room. Stopped when she saw me sitting there, formal, waiting. Why do you look like you're waiting for a job interview? We need to talk. I roll. Can I at least unpack first? This won't take long. She sighed and sat on the other end of the couch, pulling out her phone. Fine. But I have so much to tell you about my trip. It was transformational, Donald. I'm sure it was. She started scrolling through photos. Okay, so Miami was incredible. The weather, the energy. I didn't look at her phone. She noticed. You're not even looking. I need to tell you something first. She set her phone down, annoyed. Okay, what? I did what you asked. I reflected on our marriage this week. She brightened. Oh, good. I did a lot of reflecting too. I had so many realizations about our dynamic and what needs to change. What needs to change? Well, I think we need to work on communication. Specifically, you need to work on not making me feel guilty when I need space or when I prioritize my mental health. What else? I think you need to be more understanding about my limitations. Not everyone can handle stress the way you do. Some of us are more sensitive. Anything else? I think you need to stop keeping score. Bringing up things I couldn't do. That's not fair. I'm doing my best. Are you done? I mean, there's more, but we can talk about it over time. Baby steps. The point is, I'm willing to work on this if you are. I've been working on it for 6 years. She looked confused. What does that mean? I slid the folder across the coffee table. What's this? Open it. She opened the folder. The divorce paperwork was on top. She stared, looked up at me, looked back down. Is this a joke? No. You're filing for divorce? Yes. She stood fast, dropping the folder. What the hell, Donald? Sit down. I'm not sitting down. You ambush me the second I get home. You asked me to reflect on what was wrong. I did. And you decided the answer was divorce? That's insane. The answer is that you're never actually present in this marriage. That's not true. When's the last time you showed up for something difficult? I show up all the time. Name one time in the past year you handled something hard. Pause. I handle things all the time. Name one. I'm not going to stand here and defend myself to you. That's the problem. You never do. You just leave when things get hard. I have anxiety. I have boundaries. Those are healthy things. Having anxiety is fine. Using it as an excuse to opt out of adult responsibilities is not. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. For the first time in years. She switched tactics. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting. I'm not reacting. I'm deciding. You can't just decide to end our marriage unilaterally. Yes, I can. That's how divorce works. Over what? Because I went on a trip? Because you go on a trip every time life requires you to be present. Then minimization. Okay, so I'm not perfect. Neither are you. I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for present. I am present. You weren't present when the furnace broke. You stayed at Whitney's. I can't handle chaos. You weren't present when my father had a heart attack. Never came to the hospital once. Hospitals trigger me. You're not present for any difficult conversation. You shut down and disappear. I need time to process. Deflection. What about all the times you weren't there for me? Name one. Long pause. You're always working late. Because I'm paying the bills you won't discuss. See? You're bringing up money again. Because we're $8,000 in debt and you refuse to talk about it. Money talk triggers my anxiety. Everything triggers your anxiety except spending it. She started crying. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I'm not doing this to you. I'm doing this for me. After everything I've given you, what have you given me? My time, my love, my presence. Amelia, you're crying because I'm divorcing you, and you can't name a single thing you've actually given me besides excuses. She cried harder. You're being so mean. I'm being honest. She wiped her tears. Okay, I hear you. I'll do better. It's too late. It's not too late. We can go to therapy. You shut down every difficult conversation. You think you'd show up for therapy? I would. I promise. You promised you'd call about the property tax bill. I did it. You promised you'd set up the meeting with the accountant. I did it. You promised you'd be there when my dad was in the hospital. You weren't. That's not fair. It's completely fair. She stood. You know what? Maybe I don't show up because you make everything so hard. You're so intense. I'm intense because I'm the only one handling anything. That's not true. Name one thing you've handled in the past 6 months that you didn't dump on me. She opened her mouth. Nothing came. I waited. She couldn't answer. That's what I thought. This is bullshit. You're giving up because you're too rigid to accept that people handle stress differently. You don't handle stress. You avoid it. And then I handle it. What will everyone think? I don't care. Your parents love me. No, they're polite to you. Dennis will take my side. I already told Dennis. He said it's about time. She went pale. You told people before talking to me? I consulted with people who actually show up in my life about a decision involving someone who doesn't. Finally, softer voice. Donald, please, don't do this. I have to. We can fix this. You don't want to fix this. You want me to go back to accommodating your absence. That's not what I want. Then what do you want? I want us to work. Define work. She struggled. I want us to be happy. You know what would make me happy? Coming home without wondering what crisis I'll handle alone. Having a partner who asks about my day because she cares. Being married to someone who shows up. I can be that person. You've had 6 years. You haven't been. I can change. I don't want you to change. I want you to already be someone who doesn't need to. Quiet. So that's it. You've decided? I decided 3 days ago. When you texted that you were finally feeling like yourself again without me. She looked down. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. And you were right. Being away from me makes you feel like yourself. That's not a marriage. That's relief. Where do I go? You can stay at Whitney's. Or your sister's. Or anywhere else. I don't care. You don't care? No. And that's how I know this is right. A year ago, the thought of you leaving would have destroyed me. Now I just want you gone. She picked up the folder. When did you plan this? While you were in Miami asking the universe for what you needed. This is so cold. No, it's practical. Like everything else I've done while you were busy protecting your mental health. I can't believe this is happening. Believe it. The papers will be filed Tuesday. You'll be served within days. You can contest if you want, but it won't change the outcome. What if I refuse to sign? Then it takes longer and costs more. But the result is the same. We're getting divorced either way. She stood, grabbed her purse. I need to call Whitney. Good idea. She's used to you running to her when things get hard. She turned at the door. You're making a huge mistake. No, I made a huge mistake 6 years ago. Today I'm fixing it. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. She grabbed her suitcase and walked out. The door slammed. I sat in the silence, waiting for guilt or regret. Neither came. My phone started ringing within minutes. Whitney. I didn't answer. Text. What the hell did you do? Amelia is sobbing. I blocked her number. Then Amelia's sister. Blocked. Unknown numbers. Blocked them all. One text from Dennis. Proud of you, brother. One from my mom. We love you. You did the right thing. One from Raymond. Jennifer and I are here if you need anything. That was all that mattered. Monday, I returned to Peterson's office with all documents. He looked them over, said he'd file tomorrow. I signed everything. Freedom papers. Tuesday, the papers were filed. Wednesday and Thursday passed in normal life. Work, gym, dinner with friends who didn't ask if I was sure because they could see I was. Friday, Amelia was served at Whitney's house. She called, screaming. A process server? You had me served? That's how divorce works. You couldn't just tell me you filed? I did. Sunday night. I thought you might change your mind. I won't. She hung up. For months later, on a cold evening in March, I sat on my back deck. My house now fully mine. I'd bought out her half, refinanced in my name. She'd moved to Chicago for a fresh start. I'd heard she was dating someone new, already explaining her boundaries and triggers. I felt sorry for him. But mostly, I didn't think about her at all. Dennis and Raymond were there, helping me build a fire pit. We were laughing about something. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hope you're happy with yourself. Amelia, from another new number. Her. Raymond asked. Yep. What's she want? To make sure I know she's unhappy. You gonna respond? I deleted the message. Blocked the number. Nope. We went back to building. I looked around my yard, my house, my life. All mine. No one to check with. No one to accommodate. No one to disappear when things got hard. Just me, my choices, my peace. She told me to reflect on what I'd done wrong. Best advice she ever gave me. I reflected and realized my biggest failure wasn't any of the things she'd criticized me for. My biggest failure was believing that love meant accepting absence. That partnership meant doing all the work. That marriage meant managing someone else's inability to show up. She was right. I didn't need to think about my mistakes. I just didn't think about the mistakes she expected me to. Turned out the biggest mistake was simple. I stayed too long with someone who was never really there. The fire pit was coming together. Dennis handed me a beer. Raymond adjusted the stones. We worked in comfortable silence, the kind that comes from actually being present with people who know how to show up. I was lighter. Finally, genuinely lighter. And it had nothing to do with being away from her. It had everything to do with being back to myself. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.
김정은 그 새끼 그냥 이제 일반 평민 되는데 예? 누가 좋아하겠어요. 예. 예, 맞습니다. 민민이 형님. 예. 생각을 해봐. 북한에서 통일되면 제일 싫어할 사람이 누구야? 김정은 그 돼지 새끼인데 예? 김정은이 만약에 통일이 됐어 그러면 김정은은 뭐가 돼? 그냥 일반 평민이야. 예.
개윤아님 에드벌룬 10개 감사합니다.
유난히 형도 어서와요.
좋은 아침.
예, 유난히 형도 어서오세요. 내가 그래가지고 우리나라 통일이 안 된다고 얘기하는 거야. 생각을 해봐. 통일이 되면은 김정은 일반 평민이 될 텐데 김정은이 좋다고 통일하겠다 야. 통일하려면 그리고 대통령과 대통령끼리 만나서 이제 서로 상호 합의해야 하는 거잖아. 절대 안 되지.